7:14 a.m. on Friday, April 26th, 2019. My last full day here in South Korea for this trip, and I'm going to be getting up very early tomorrow to fly back home. But in the meantime, one more day, of work here. But today, yesterday, I think that because I don't know, I went to bed early is kind of what I was trying to ramp up to, and I don't think any of the details around that were actually all that interesting. But the one thing that I did do yesterday is while I was watching, some TV, I was reading through the PDF of the Kickstarter preview PDF of FATE of Chthulhu. Now, I have access to this file because I backed the currently running Kickstarter for FATE of Chthulhu, which is tabletop RPG. If you're not familiar already, the FATE system is a pretty cool system where everything has aspects that you invoke or compel. There's fate points and fate dice, and so it's like Dungeons and Dragons. It's just it's a different system. It uses dice, but in a different way, different rules, but same general concept. And so I've played Fate games before, and in fact, this Space for Rent, which I've run 6 sessions of, is Fate-based. That game is playing Bulldogs, but it's all Fate-based. So it's just a game system if you aren't already aware of that. And so this one is a reworking of the Fate system to work for, a Lovecraftian sort of horror game. And one of the really neat conceits of this particular setup is that it kind of combines ideas from like Terminator and the Lovecraftian mythos, where the idea is humanity has fallen to the arrival of Great Old One, but humanity has discovered ways to send people back in time to try to prevent the apocalypse. And so the adventures that you would be playing are the adventures of these time travelers and perhaps teaming up with people from the present to try to stop the apocalypse. And it's got this cool conceit where, the idea is the time travelers will know what happened for them. Saying, this is how the apocalypse happened. And we believe that there were these 4 main events that were the the catalysts for the apocalypse. And so we need you to try to disrupt those events in such a way as to try to prevent the apocalypse from happening. But part of the game mechanics are pretty cool, that the idea is once you have tried to stop one of those events, it actually has mechanics to try to say whether or not you have made a significant impact. And the idea is that you really need to try to stop all 4 events, but each time you change one of them, the way the others play out will be different because you've made changes to the timeline. And so your memory of the events and how they were supposed to play out may not happen anymore. And so things may turn out differently, and you have to try to, so the first one you go after is like, well, we know it happened like this, and so if we can disrupt that, then it's good. But the next time, your information may be bad because you've changed things now. So I think that's kind of cool. And it has this whole concept of, how to use corruption. And also one of the things that I was really kind of impressed with in reading it is that it has in the introduction a straight up, no bones about it discussion of saying, okay, so one thing we need to get out of the way right now is that H.P. Lovecraft, the man, was kind of awful. He was racist and anti-Semitic and not really a great guy. And so it is really upfront about that and saying, but that is not to say that some of the things that, you know, he talked about and wrote about in the like Lovecraftian mythos, you know, like these sorts of things, these unknowable horrors, are ideas that have been used by others to tell, you know, like interesting stories, and that these stories don't have to be the way that that guy conceived them. And so I think that's cool right off the bat. And the other one is that it kind of goes out of its way to talk about the idea of the effect that the old ones have on people is more about this corruption idea and less about the idea of insanity, because it's wanting to be sensitive to the idea of people who have mental illness and not wanting to imply that those are the same thing. And so it's got some really sensitive, thoughtful writing in there. It also explains the fate rules really well, and so I've been reading through this book, and I'm really kind of excited by it, and I feel like I want to play it. I want to play it with some people, so I'll have to figure that out when it makes sense to do that. But by all means, if you're watching this video and you feel like that would be a really cool game and you would want to play with me, let me know that. Anyway, I've got to go ahead and finish getting ready for work, so I'll leave it here, but I'll talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes, and I'll be, it'll be early because I'll be on my way to the airport. If I can click the thing. Yay!